YouTube comments from a video titled, Why Society Changed Forever After COVID. Part 3.
At Katie First 2642 wrote,
I was essential during COVID. Nothing changed for me other than having to wear a mask that didn't work anyway, and not getting near as much money as people who were on unemployment. I was hearing people were getting $1,200 a week when I made $948 every 2 weeks, but I was needed to make the country run. IMO, I've never been so disrespected and feel like I will never make enough money in my lifetime to make up for my miserable existence known as COVID.
At Nadia Montalvo 8159 wrote,
I had to work during COVID at Al's Online through the grocery store, Hy-Vee, out here in the Midwest. So I saw the ugliness of humanity. People really lost their shit if we were out of stock on something. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? The retailer has lost its staff through COVID, so yeah, not a lot of production is being made, and only necessary products are being made. I just work for the grocery store. I don't work for the supplier. I did not feel like a human. I was just a cog in the machine, and there could not be any errors. I sacrificed my time, had the most unstable work schedule that changed weekly, and I was barely home to spend time with my family. I remember taking showers and crying my eyes out because the stress was so overwhelming. I wanted to unalive myself because I felt like nothing I did was good enough. Not for my bosses, not for the customers, not for my family. And I was stuck in that mindset for 2 years. I put up with it for so long because I was getting paid $15/HR, which at that time was a lot. But looking back, what I went through was not worth the pay. Jobs where I'm not interacting with the public appeal to me so much more now. I've done customer service since my teens, and I'm 36 now, and I refuse to deal with people anymore. Everyone seems to be so rude and entitled.
at E0J wrote,
The darkness in my heart grew unchecked during the pandemic. The hustle and bustle of daily life provided a fragile barrier, keeping my childhood trauma from emerging, and didn't have time to address it. Since half of what occupied me disappeared during COVID, it became apparent I needed therapy and started my healing journey. I finally laid out my hurt at my mother's door and had the talk. Thanks to my husband's support, I am much more comfortable and feel more at ease. I no longer hate my mother and no longer hate myself. For me, the lockdown was the catalyst I needed to push me to seek help.
at Bookish 503 wrote,
I am Amir. I'm a student teacher currently working with kids in 4th grade whose kindergarten and 1st grade experiences were severely impacted due to COVID. What me and my mentor, teacher, have noticed is that these kids seem to have severe anxiety when thinking for themselves and answering questions that they might get wrong, and that their executive functioning skills are behind by a couple of years. What you would expect 4th graders to be able to do and act like pre-pandemic is severely different now, and their thinking is as though they are years younger. This is, of course, a generalization, so not every child, but most in the grade band.
SAJ17 wrote,
I'm from the tri-state area, Northeast. The culture normally here is we'll help you change your tire, but we'll be cursing you out while doing it. All that to say, it's been generally cold and aloof, but I definitely see a big shift since COVID. It seems that even the little friendliness and politeness that existed pre-pandemic has gotten a lot worse now. I can't even say hi to the cashier without getting a dirty look, and I don't understand if I'm not following some NYNJPA rule that everyone should just be cold and rude. Not sure if anyone in this area has noticed that or just me.
a Band of Pranksters wrote,
Why society changed. Because the government perpetrated the greatest psychological operation in history and gaslit everyone into mass psychosis? Pretty straightforward. Only the brainwashed and brain dead couldn't see this coming.
Bugsy and me wrote.
I'm going to say it. I think the COVID virus actually affects the mental integrity. I can't quite explain it scientifically, but it does seem like people think different nowadays, but not in a type of isolated effects we would expect.
Lisa Samuelson 2650 wrote.
I go for a walk every day after work. Most people say good morning. I live in a small rural community in Oregon. I drive a school bus. Every day at drop of I tell them to have a good day. Students have started saying the same to me. When I drop them off, I say to have a good evening, see you tomorrow. One student drop I got distracted and just said have a good evening. The student waited for me to say see you tomorrow. That really made me think.
Carmalg wrote.
27. 38. I just want to know what I need to be worried about. Very telling comment. This woman will never know peace. She's literally searching for things to be worried about.
Lydia Dietz 11 wrote.
It was a premeditated event as far as isolation and polarization. Our society has been declining relationally for a while. Since the 90s, yes. It was a tough event for young people, but young people have been disconnected for a while now. Again, this is by design. I recommend finding a real community and connecting with them for the right reasons. Instead of vapid socialization, good luck.
Angela Martson 7499 wrote.
I'm an introverted elder millennial. COVID did not change me as a person, but I definitely see how it affected others. I feel more out of place in society than I've ever felt before, yet at the same time, I'm more stable as an individual compared to the chaos I see around me. At this point, I'm just stepping aside and continuing to behave how I always have. I don't like the general public, but at the same time I know how to socially interact. But people have become kind of unbearable, so I just keep to myself. We're in a bizarre place where people don't know how to behave, and I don't feel like I have peers anymore. No one I can feel comfortable associating myself with, because even if I try, I reach this hard line disconnect from awareness and understanding on their end. I know people don't like this phrase being used, but people these days are pretty much a bunch of NPCs, and I don't feel like I'm interacting with genuine people anymore. So I'm basically just patiently waiting and hoping for the day to come where things to eventually balance back out in a more normal way. Considering the looseness of the word normal. At least something more like how it was pre-COVID. The 2020s have so far been a terrible decade for humanity.
Its Stuff 7328 wrote.
18.2. I don't experience it either. Older people are talking more, IMO. Seems like it's younger people who are doing what he's talking about. FYI, I'm in a racially mixed working class neighborhood.
ADHD LOCHI wrote.
1743. Pretty much the only people who don't say thank you to me for holding doors and such. Maybe they feel like I owe it to them? It.
Theogonia 1983 wrote.
I have two sons, and they think very independently because my wife and I think independently. We enjoy debates the constructive kind, not the toxic kind. I talk philosophy with them, and we go to museums and discuss what we learn. This is all fun. I don't understand why people don't. I inherently understand that using your brain is enjoyable and fulfilling. This is a cultural failing throughout America, an overdependence on technology and the groupthink of algorithms.
Hot Mama 499 Ife wrote.
I lost 30 pounds. In 2020, I was finally inspired to lose the baby weight from my last baby. I focused on my mindset and grew in my perspective. 2020 was a great year of revelation for me, while I struggled to navigate how it affected my youngest child. She was in kinder in 2020, and I saw the psychological and emotional manipulation she was being subjected to. Life was weird for her from kinder to third grade because I didn't agree with the narrative she was getting from the world outside of home. I just taught her to question what she was hearing. Sometimes rules are wrong, and it's okay to say, no, I won't be doing that. She's going in the 6th grade now. I am proud she can question authority with respect and autonomy.
Kath Kitchen wrote,
I am absolutely more in my bubble than I was. I left the city and bought a home in the country during pandemic 2021, where I live alone with my animals. I was open to others at first, but when I found out that people in villages are nosy AF and can find out where I live easily, I shunned myself and decided that it wasn't safe to start interacting with people from my village. I'll keep the compliments advice and keep walking advice thought. It'll be a good challenge, Paul.
Egutyranimus wrote,
Since 2020, I've opened up more to my friends and realized that for the most part, rich people really like to start conflict. I have also had an epiphany that I really love the life I have and all the people in it. I'm glad I found this channel. Don't know about your beliefs, but God bless you.
The Taxter_HD wrote,
I live on the edge of a big city, like the countryside is up the hill. The 3 things I missed the most about the quarantine period was that the motorways were silent, the skies weren't filled with planes and their trails, and wildlife such as deer started to walk down my road and reclaim suburban areas. The rest of that period was hella hard, but I do miss the tranquility of it in my area.
Fallucka wrote,
Hey, bright side, at least you all lost social skills at the same time, and can go out and be awkward together while regaining them, knowing that a lot of other people are in the same boat. I'm older, but I lost out on like 8 years of socialization because I just holed up in front of my computer my entire teen years and didn't socialize with anyone. It was a bit rough to get out there and start socializing in my 20s with everyone so far ahead of me, but at some point you gotta start working towards the life you want to live, yeah? Better late than never. And thing is, it worked perfectly fine, and no one can even tell now. A good chunk of social skills is just practice. Use it or lose it, but if you lose it, you can regain it too. I managed and I thought I was a hopeless case. Haha, maybe you guys can do it as a group assignment.
Adewayoru94 wrote,
I saw it all, especially when Japanese married couples started to X each other due to being with each other so much. Usually men aren't home until later, but now everyone was home.
Sonic Leaves wrote,
Idic about complimenting people or being complimented. I would think they were hitting on me or they would think I was hitting on them, and I've been married for 16 years now.
Sonic Leaves wrote,
I had my youngest child in 2021. I was 40. Before I had her, my days and nights were backwards because of lockdowns. When she was born, I had no time to do anything other than care for my baby. She had colic and screamed any time she was awake until she was around 6 months old. It was such a weird time. The world was quiet and I was alone with my baby. She forced me to change my schedule. I was waking up at 6 a.m. with the sun, something I never did before. Everything turned out for the better, and I'm incredibly thankful for that.
Ashley Germain wrote,
I feel like the reason people got on their grind was because they had time to do it. When you work a 9 to 2, 5, whatever that looks like for you, you don't seem to have time to do all the things you want/need to do. But lockdown gave us all the time in the world. I got so much done. I had plenty of time to spend with my family. I went for 2-2-3 mile walks with my dog versus a couple of 20 minutes walks. I picked up new hobbies. I was able to clean our home thoroughly. I had time to keep up with stuff or stay on top of it. Now, I'm back to letting stuff go for too long, to the point that it's overwhelming to take care of it, but I feel guilty about not walking my dogs. I have another one now. As much as they may need want, I'm more stressed out because I don't feel like I have enough time or energy after I've worked all day. Back then, we had nothing but time. You could sleep in and still have plenty of time to take care of a lot of stuff. Not to mention, for those of us who don't really like to be around a lot of people, we had plenty of time to ourselves. No social obligations to worry about, no crowds to induce anxiety. Just the comfort of being at home. While the pandemic was absolutely terrible for everyone, on the flip side, it gave some of us just what we needed: time.
Ed Ashley Mapin wrote,
For me, COVID has made me more aware of my nervous system. Before C-19 was announced, there was a day I woke up feeling like the world is about to change and something bad is going to happen. I just didn't know what it was exactly. But I was very calm and relaxed during lockdown, because I'm an introvert anyway.
A facetious Liana wrote,
I've always complimented people and I love seeing their smiles. It's usually a good experience. I've only had one person react negatively and tell me, why are you complimenting a stranger? Mal, my, wits, in time, gay, wits, mal, wits, mal, wits, all, wits, all, wits, all, wits, all, all. But I'm 44 years old, so those are good odds.
Be brave.
As Sienna Richards, R2P wrote,
I was younger when COVID happened, and so a lot of my schedules were based on what my parents had me do.
But I would say that after entering into the adult world, for me, the biggest shift since COVID would have to be people not interacting in public anymore.
I attend college, and unless someone is with a friend they have already made, they are likely on their phones or have AirPods in their ears.
There have been many times that I have tried to start a conversation with somebody, but it has failed because they have music in their ears.
People are much more independent, or I should say independent with their phones now.
Blanca Amidon wrote,
Was grocery shopping today and observed so many people huffing and puffing when someone's cart was in their way.
Not one said a word. It appeared they expected people to read their mind. Everyone in their own world. Vibes were annoyed.
A Tree Shaker Catfishing wrote,
Why? Either I'm getting old, and memory loss is setting in, or I lived in a whole different universe.
I remember all the BS hype of this COVID thing. What lockdown? How long? What country? I worked every day and traveled into FLA, GA. Never wore masks. Never approached or told to. Sometimes rurity is on the for manjus we is over and over and over and. Sometimes rurity is on the for manjus we is over and over and. Some died. The team we all worked with kinda always figured it was some blew-up propaganda to scare the masses. But we've all kinda been non-complaint. We didn't change anything in the regular. Same things, same places.
We didn't get sick or die. We didn't get sick or die.
And we were in a flop.
Hotspots, chaffing, creation, chaffing, sound, chaffing, 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 shopping, 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 shopping.
Some weird matrix shit, I guess. Oh well, latchkey kid. We're just wired different, I guess.
As Suzanne 291 wrote,
As AI pioneers, mitigating harms both its risks and potential. Sit alone, strike up a conversation, or don't. People watch and notice we are all the same, vulnerable. As AI pioneers, it is a confidence builder and very valuable as you age.
at JBB 5727 wrote,
You, not through best choice, Seul Lawmanzir. CA, I enjoyed your video.
Good reminder, and I'll need to get over COVID crap.
I really like people, but they can be scary. Learning how to understand their point and of view, or and when to walk quickly away from them. 9 Mine Faust. 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. 9 Faust. 9 Faust. 9 Faust. 9 Faust. 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. 20 years.
a Dancer Girl 510 wrote,
The whole No Manners video really resonated with me. I'm from Florida but moved to Chicago right after the lockdown, and for the past 3 years I've noticed that people in the city are so rude. No one in the city has any manners, and it's everyone out for themselves. Then I would come home to South Florida for school breaks, and it was a complete 180. You can go to Publix and a complete stranger will strike up a conversation with you. I didn't realize how bad it was in Chicago until I came back to Florida, and how much I missed and craved basic, decent human interaction. Being a Southern girl, I've always thought we have the nicest, most polite people, and I think the South bounded back the best after COVID.
at Lori Wyoming 835 wrote,
I'd say it depended more on where you were before COVID. I'm older and had comorbidities, and was concerned at first. It didn't take long before I decided it was no worse than me taking precautions for influenza like I do every year. Fuinizbin, and fuinize, writhing, and fuinize, 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 and so, I think it was more of an inconvenience at this point for me.
Chloe one of wrote,
556. Lately I've been complimenting strangers or people I barely know. If I was really insecure, a small and nice compliment and smile would make my week. It never ever hurts to compliment someone.
at Yo Crunchiness wrote,
Amir will probably remove this comment, but just want to remind everyone that Amir preaches comfort news to a crowd that wants to hear it, rather than create a neutral discussion based on sensitive topics. When making comfort news is so much more profitable than real journalism, I understand why he does this. Just remember that his opinion is completely swayed by easy money.
at Mersocial Media wrote,
with everybody getting the badge. Not only did they infect themselves with whatever was in it, it's transferable through bodily fluids. They spreading the disease. I never got it, nor do I plan on dating anytime soon, and now it will be difficult trusting the opposite gender on whether they got the badge or not, or slept around lately when I do want to go date.
At FC's Master wrote,
I'm personally in a weird spot with all of this. Some context, I finished grad school in June of 2017. After that, I was working full-time while studying for the CPR exam. I passed it in March of 2019. During that time, I barely did anything fun and didn't have time to socialize. After passing, it was so freeing. I dived into all kinds of extra games and went on dates pretty often, and even got to take up Yu-Gi-Oh! At a card shop. Come the lockdown, that all stopped. My work at the time was deemed essential, so I could keep working remotely and even go into the office sometimes. After things opened up, I still make an effort to see friends. I just gave up on dating and play Yu-Gi-Oh! Online now. I've always been more introverted, but my days are often work, exercise, video games, then sleep. It wasn't until videos like this that I realized 2019 was the most free year I had.
At Jaconico wrote,
It was my first year in the Navy, and so when we had to quarantine, it was just me and the room. And I'm an introvert already. So it was THE best time OFMY life, was literally getting paid to chill. Some people didn't take it too well. They were getting depressed and self-deletion thoughts. So they started doing wellness checks on us. But yeah, I was growing my hair out. I felt great. I only had a laptop at the time. So the only online game I could run on that thing was League of Legends. So me and my friend would play that all day, all night, and met a whole world of people we never would have thought would still be friends with to this day. And Discord, although not as big as it is today, was THE spot to merge all the people we met and voice chat and play League together. Was having the time of my life, just chatting. Yeah, we were closed off from the world. But the digital opened up and connected us all. Like Ready Player One or something. It was crazy to learn about the people we played video games with, how they looked and how they were in real life after COVID. And we did NOT look like your stereotypical gamer, let alone League player. Which was so interesting to see someone who doesn't look like they play games, post of social media, watch anime, Etsy, actually enjoy it, and you would never know.
At JL5KZ wrote,
As an introvert, it was a great time. No need to make up excuses just to stay at home. Got sick once or twice with minor symptoms. No one around me fell really sick. Started remote working, then realized life is too short to be wasted on working even remotely. Looking back, not hard at all. Except the part one tried to avoid both the test and the needle and forged some fake documents.
At Serene Reality wrote,
Blue cities probably feel a sense of shame/stupidity over the lockdowns. I also think the pandemic blew up the introvert vs extrovert dynamic. Oh, and during the pandemic, I wrote a full-length original screenplay.
At TweetWeets25 wrote,
17, my family came to visit me in my small town 3 hours outside of LA. They say they are so surprised how many people say hello, hold doors, are polite to them. But back in LA, people get mad if you look at them. If you're too close, people huff. They walk scared that someone is going to go off for anything. Well, that's the more conservative family. The liberal sister comes to my small town, sees an American flag, and says she's scared someone is going to be racist towards her. Even though all her interactions in my town have been positive.
At Dominique X Franken X wrote,
I live in Oregon, and I feel like many people, especially in Portland, didn't have manners even before COVID. But it has only become worse since then. I was raised with serial manners, but it makes me want to give up.
At Madeline Clark 283 wrote,
Have a grip on reality and just breathe.
Look around your immediate environment. Very wise words. I used to think that having a grip on reality meant constantly being hyper aware of the war in Ukraine and every social issue imaginable. At 25, when my brain developed, I realized the stupid people who chose to live in the moment and focus on what is directly in front of them were right all along. Living in the moment doesn't make you a bad or a stupid person, and it's okay to put the phone down and just be in the moment enjoying it.
At Hobbyist Fairy 1712 wrote,
The guy at 1645 brings up something interesting. Yeah, I notice people don't say thank you. I know BC a part of. Me has been in that habit one time. I noticed this in the supermarket. And even when I eat out at restaurants, it's not just black people not interacting anymore. It's also Asians, Latinos, and white people as well. When I go out to eat with my mom, the restaurants are halfway empty. And some stores too also now that I has entered the workplace. You got people are losing their jobs and schools are using AI and letting it do the students' classwork as well. Now young people won't have think for themselves.
At Madeline Clark 283 wrote,
What that one lady said about meeting new people when you go out. I met dozens of wonderful people at the bar from 2018 to 2020 before lockdown, married to one of them. You would go out with friends and make more friends / go to parties with people you just met. I haven't really met anyone else since then, despite going to the bar with other couples. I thought it was just part of being older and in a serious relationship, but people in general seem less inclined to make NEW friends. Several people I know who are younger than me have told me they have no interest in dating, and people don't even seem to casually date or talk to new people like before. We're all antisocial homebodies.
At Pistolemy 2156 wrote,
I turned 21 the January before COVID. I went to an anime convention Valentine's Day before lockdown. And my mom's friend group celebrated a friend's birthday with a bar crawl THE weekend before lockdown. I also had lost 99 po in T 99% of my friend group due to a breakup from my ex at the time a few months prior. I would love to make more friends, but there are very few people I can stand under the age of 30. I have two who are in their early 30s though. I didn't get to have the adventures I should have had due to lockdown. And due to limited friends, and also not wanting to make my current friends feel pressured, I'm quite worried about safety to be traveling alone. I personally don't feel like I am uncomfortable around other strangers or giving compliments, but I more worry about coming across as a weirdo.
At Countess Bathory 5360 wrote,
Something that wasn't mentioned in the video is the realization of how easily and quickly some people are willing to cut you off if you disagree with them, and how that accelerated during COVID. Regardless of your opinion, everyone could see how this was playing out, and it does make you question the value of your connections with others. As a result, some might have ended up thinking, well, what's the point of even forming these connections in the first place? Personally, my views of my relationships with people became incredibly clinical because of this, and that's only started to recover over the past year. That said, it wasn't entirely bad, because it made me appreciate some people more and encouraged me to distance myself from some others.
At Alex Rivera 841 wrote,
I feel like the disconnect is so valid. I've noticed it, for lack of better terms, from the outside looking in. I mean, just from observation, people watching, etc. But in my personal experience, small talk exists. Courtesy exists. Community is real. Etc. But I would say I prioritized these factors in my life, and if it wasn't aligning, I kept it moving. Connection is still real, but you have to take action in your life if you want to see it returned.
Courtney M. 1687 wrote,
I felt like things were better in 2021 but got bad. Like really bad, like falling backwards into 2020 all over, but with more cynicism and less engagement in 2022.
At Christus Rex 94 wrote,
I absolutely loved the lockdowns. An introvert's dream. However, I will die on the hill that we can never accept that level of government control and violation of human rights again.
A salvaged_wretch wrote,
For myself, I know I won't go out anymore to turn up, such as drinking in public and act silly with friends. Karaoke at sea solely because of all these young folks filming and posting every dang thing. We now live in a culture where privacy is uninvited and you could quite possibly become some viral meme or whatever you call it, Merha. I'm good.
At SHII 5795 wrote,
I work 16-hour shifts almost every day all through COVID because my job was classified as essential. With all these locations closed down during the pandemic, I was placed at many different places that needed armed security. I've never worked so hard in my life. I'm still tired from it.
At Logan Ford 3921 wrote,
Only thing that can say positive about lockdown was that the weather was mostly warm sunny days, especially here in Scotland. After that, the summers are a bit of a mixed bag.
At Bluethy Hindcat wrote,
457 Thank you, Adia. I will take your advice on this. I am assisting my first ever anime con this Saturday and Sunday, as well as cosplaying for the first time. I planned to go with my sister, but something came up and now I have to go alone. I'm nervous as because I haven't had any proper social interactions with people my age since 2019. But I have to start somewhere.
At Mill8682 wrote,
People have no manners and are plain rude. It is combined with a sense of entitlement and I'm better than you. You don't matter mentality. People will run you over, bump into you. People will be extremely loud everywhere and not care. It is disgusting, and personally I think it means that there are way more undereducated people than we thought, not referring to just school, of course.
At Treasure Nico wrote,
It's not just the black community. No one ever seems to want to talk to anyone or be bothered. But they are the same people that cry and complain about being lonely or that it's hard to be friends.
At Treasure Nico wrote,
I go out alone, at least to bars, and I just sit there alone for hours, till I'm drunk, then go home and cry, because I don't understand why noon will ever talk to me. Everyone says make yourself approachable, WTF. Does that mean? How? Or I'm told to do the approaching myself. It's already hard enough going out in public around others. If I tried to talk to someone, I would have a heart attack.
At Dogs Pit 99 wrote,
While I'm watching this, I saw two kids throwing a ball in an empty parking lot. It haven't seen something like that in years. It's nice but sobering at the same time.
At Crispinson 7551 wrote,
I hiked and made music during most of it. No social media, unique hobbies, and ASD made it hard in 2021. I loved outdoors. Others loved video games and movies. I had no stereotype. As things opened up, I made friends but missed gatherings for resisting the potion. Then I got fitter, taking up rock band, choir, and track. These people were bright and friendly, assisting me on the home stretch to graduation.
A Sleeper No 1215 wrote,
I have got into the habit of complimenting and affirming strangers. It builds good karma, and you never know what that person is going through. I cannot tell you how many times the person told me that he or she needed that day. Also, random acts of kindness are one of the best treatments for depression.
A Sleeper No 1215 wrote,
I have got into the habit of complimenting and affirming strangers. It builds good karma, and you never know what that person is going through. I cannot tell you how many times the person told me that he or she needed that day. Also, random acts of kindness is one of the best treatments for depression.
A Sleeper No 1215 wrote.
The idea that teens were stunted at the age at which they entered lockdown rings true. I am seeing it with my own teens. They became addicted to interacting by their phones. Now, everything is done by phone. Plus, they cannot seem to do anything alone.
At a Little Batafuju wrote.
COVID was my political breaking point. I was grinding through 3 essential jobs while others sat at home getting government checks, living comfortably, and somehow I got shamed for wanting a basic meal out. They had it easy and still had the gall to lecture me. The system rewarded laziness and punished people who kept things running. The rules were pure theater: masks on while standing, off while sitting, protests allowed, funerals banned, Hollywood open, small businesses crushed. And now, everyone wants to be a victim, whether their problems are real or completely made up. Society shifted from resilience to fragility, and I'm still pissed about it.
At Faithful Caden 2969 wrote.
1319. Not only that, but you got to see a lot of reactions from content creators when protests were going on in the streets pertaining to people whose jobs require them to touch someone. I remember to this day a movie reactor calling such people inhumane for wanting to find a way to still do their jobs.
And it's Craig Smith wrote.
I was an essential worker. Except being at work while everyone else sat at the house making more than I was at my day job. It was rough.
A Dusty Dr. Art wrote.
The social and cultural effects are different, but our corporate norms have changed as well. I can't put my finger on it, but our workspaces seem more hostile and covert. I have never been treated so horribly in any job I've had during and after the pandemic. Management is more cruel and sneaky, hateful, and lack ethics. I'm a Gen X. I want to see more older people on your videos. Boomers have been alive longer, and we have some more life experience.
At Emily Barker 6071 wrote.
As a freshman high schooler during COVID, a part of me is thankful for it because I became introduced to communities that helped me find who I am. I don't think I would have found my queer identity or my love for certain hobbies / future, career. But simultaneously, the world outside scared me and I lost so many social skills everyone did. I had 3 deaths in my family during this and I barely processed it and coped by escaping. I've never shaken off that habit.
At Old X New 2026 wrote.
I definitely started my whole career during COVID, and in large part due to COVID. I will say that after COVID, people are drastically standoffish. T-Pain stead sin keen. Catcher perfation neuroteen. T-Pain stead sin keen. I'll be T-Pain stead sin tenture fursi nat. Rastery sin neuroteen. T-Pain stead sin keen. We don't udal instead sin key. T-Pain stead sin key. Catcher perfation neuroteen. Catcher perfation. That is a real thing in any normal community. We maintained in you. 2 years. 2 people C1. 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 2 people less. 2 people C1. 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 2 people. The issue is, some people have always liked it that way. The issue is, some people have always liked it that way. The issue is, some people have always liked it that way. The issue is, some people have always liked it that way. The issue is, 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 and they have been pretending they are normal, when they are not. Everyone else is trying to do the work of trying not to offend these types of people, and so they pretend they don't care to interact either.
Donjon H8L wrote,
I've been through 3 paradigm shifts in my life.
Nihomri.
I think this last one made people wake up to the incredible pressures we are placing on each other to make things that bad for us seem normal.
Esherelda wrote,
It's all coming together now. Plandemic. Basically being forced to get the jab.
Isolation for years. Autism from jab. Forced back into society to act like things were before the plandemic. Can't because isolation plus jab possibly fucking with your brain.
I'm J. Keep mainly, but that would be CRE's Wari.
Estarlistefs wrote,
Yeah. Texas wasn't locked down like most of what we saw on TV. I had a newborn, so that part was concerning while we didn't know exactly what was true.
At Hirschmergersh 6733 wrote,
Thing the last because why the and my they business was amazing during COVID. But after we were let out of our house arrests, it's quite clear that society has suffered irreparable damage. It seems to me now that everyone is an absolute 2 US day. Nobody can drive any longer. Nobody has any manners. Everyone became a narcissistic a-hole. And as for kids not being able to think independently, full and
At Zenieps wrote,
I think COVID showed us how fragile our world really is. And loneliness is the biggest thing that is still affecting us ever since then, either being a remote worker, socializing mainly on internet. We forgot how humans actually function. We need IRL connections. And if you're seeing, online time is more than the time you spend in real life. You're cooked. I almost feel like a robot since COVID.
At Fishlord 2668 wrote,
You know, personally speaking, it wasn't COVID that killed me, but the Me Too movement. Since the Me Too movement, I've always had this mindset that if you approach a girl, she's going to accuse you of grapes, and you're going to get locked up forever.
Word says,
I've tried to talk to girls I truly like, but my brain completely shut down due to the risk. Even now, knowing there is nothing to worry about, I'm still locked in this state of fear that I can't escape.
At Honey 77777 wrote,
Because of COVID, I didn't have to go into work. And being in the military, I'm getting paid regardless. I had 2 family members pass away that wasn't COVID related, and I'm so grateful I was out of work. To be able to mourn. COVID was a blessing and a curse.
At Dale 20 wrote,
The Democrats used COVID to pit us against each other so they could transform America, so they could control us. Hopefully we all see that and will stop voting for these oppressive oligarchs that they claim Trump is. Look at how they scream when the waste, fraud, and abusive was discovered. We have been gaslighted to hate each other by putting our race, sex, ethnicity, etc., on the pedestal of idolatry. Ternansur Yamal Kana. Narcissism is destroying our country.
At Ali Lay 31 wrote,
I literally always feel like I'm 24 even though I'm 29 now. It's extremely weird. I feel everyone feels behind and still left with a lot of confusion.
At Roy McIntosh 7983 wrote,
After reading the report by the BBC Scotland on the elderly deaths in care homes, it was shocking to see that there was no mention of this being advised to the Scottish government to move people from hospitals to clear beds, and that was by Andrews. Now you do not have to be smart or a doctor to know that every year the care homes struggle to keep bugs out of the homes. So taking elderly people from hospitals and sending them to care homes can only be described as criminal. The elderly were not in hospital for a holiday. How did the elderly die? No mention of DNR, midazolam, or remdesivir. So for Cranky Sturgeon to say it was a mistake is just a lie to cover up killing like never seen before. And it was deliberate. So that is criminal. It was deliberate murder. Then jump forward to when the injection started and the killing started again. Look at the UK death figures for January 2021, and you shall see each week is higher by thousands than the average for previous years. Once again, if you know something is killing people and you carry on, that is murder. Oh, but it is put down to all sorts of other causes. Doctors were falsifying health reports and death certificates. I wrote in March 2020 and said that moving the elderly would kill people, and not one reply. I also wrote to media, Freeman, and political parties as I was told by a person from a care home that the injections were maiming and killing. And the only reply I got back was from some Leslie Brown from Scottish government, wondering where I got my information from. I told her where to go. I had written to Freeman, yet Brown replies? Taking the killing of the elderly and now the killing and maiming by injections, the politicians and NHS should be on murder charges. In time the truth shall come out, and it is good that families have come together to ask questions, and also that the COVID-19 Assembly are working away in the background. Looks like Pharma and Gates & could be pulling the strings.
At Sioung 4471 wrote,
I am a stay-at-home mother of 4, so the main thing that changed for me with the lockdowns is everyone being home and in the way for me to get my chores done. It was much easier with everyone being out of the house with school and work, and I was actually able to keep things clean for a bit. The positive side was having everyone home to be around each other more. My husband has been remote ever since, and I do prefer this. We just kept doing the homeschooling with the kids, and they've been much happier since. My girls tend to be dramatic sometimes, but other than that, everyone gets along. This mostly comes down to them playing games with each other. As for people being rude, it's not just black folks. I live in a mostly white area, and I'd say it's a mix. Some people are still super friendly and others are rude as hell. We also had a lot of out-of-state people move to MT. People from CA really do not seem to have any etiquette at all. They park on sidewalk, those are not engineered for that, and leave trash on the ground. We don't have that problem until out-of-state people show up. They seem to be just pigs overall, and these are wealthy people too, so there's that. I know why that state is trash. They also do not seem to understand personal space either. I've had mostly horrible experiences with CA folks being here. I wish I could ban them from here, that level of bad. Lastly, I've never really been a social person. The lockdowns didn't really change much for me when it came to that. My family is what I care about and focus on. I have one friend that I talk to daily, and that's it. We mostly just send memes and articles to each other at this point. We used to play W together, but I'm permanently banned now for I don't even know why. Apparently this has been happening to people a lot. One guy was banned for playing too many hours. Microsoft owns Blizzard now, so I can't say I'm surprised they're just destroying the cash cow. Kind of hard to have a thriving game when you ban people for no reason.
Edgelaughter 95 wrote,
I've always kind of been a homebody, but I was also in recovery from a car accident in 2018 when COVID hit. So lockdowns for me were just a Thursday lull. I do think for me though what seems like it really changed is the people who would drop friends/family because of COVID now feel justified in doing so for just about anything. Can't disagree with their opinion or you're gone. Can't agree with outside opinions from theirs or you're gone, etc.
At Delirious 120 wrote,
For as bad as COVID was, I almost lost my mom from COVID and went through a major depression because of it. It pretty much got to the point where I couldn't get out of bed for weeks. And I did lose my neighbor because she had cancer and had a fever the day she was supposed to get chemo, and they wouldn't let her go in, and she died a few months later. And the living situation I was in at the time didn't really help my depression either. Despite all that, the lockdown had its ups as well. I met my boyfriend online during COVID. He's the best thing to have happened to me. I'm not normally the type of person to meet people online, but he messaged me on Facebook and I was bored and honestly was trying to keep my mind off of my mom being as sick as she was. So I thought, why not? Best decision I ever made. Lol.
At Archon 1995 wrote,
You can't just lock up people for months, making them afraid of going out and each other, disrupt their lives to a point where everything stood still for a while, and then expect them to act like they did before.
At Burbo Wants a Hug wrote,
Low key, lockdown was lit since I was a senior in high school. I basically got to graduate regardless of my grades. And now after 5 years since lockdown, I got 2 degrees and moved abroad. So COVID didn't really affect me that much, just more of an inconvenience.
At Jacob Price 2579 wrote,
I think this is very much a case of YMMV. It took a lot of effort in 22/23, but honestly, my life now is pretty much exactly the same as it was pre-pandemic. I go out. I see my friends. I go to bars. I go on trips. I go to the office. Honestly, the lockdown years just feel like a bad dream. It feel like one long day that ended and then took a while to bounce back from, but it's definitely behind me.
At Instant Pug 7036 wrote,
I was 30 when the pandemic happened. I was back at university. My life did not get worse at all. I chose 3 people from my major, and we met at parks and cafes outside to continue practicing our language studies. Doing that actually deepened our friendship. But we did know each other before the pandy happened. I do think America had an experience that was way worse, especially anything that wasn't the East Coast, at least my image of it. In Europe, especially Germany, we have parks everywhere. We could always meet outside unless we were a big group. It wasn't impossible to meet. You just had to get creative and take up the initiative to actually do these things. And no, I don't think parties are a defining experience of youth. We weren't allowed to have them either. But the generation that started uni afterwards is almost impossible to talk to. Not all of them. Don't get me wrong. But way too many of them. I do blame the internet though. Even Marisso. Everything is so click-wide.
At Dahit Sybil wrote,
COVID made me viscerally angry, the one break in life, and I had to work through the whole thing. More workload, hours and days. I did not get a pay raise for my hard work. Instead, I got to see how horrible people can be. While everyone around me got free money and was able to relax, vacation, pick up a hobby, etc., I was lonely, overworked, and depressed. So yeah, F COVID. Society has changed, but I guess it's time for a new and improved norm.
At Danielle Malinin 6337 wrote,
In Finland, people have mostly talked a lot about how lockdown was a victory for introverts as they were allowed to stay home in peace, and how they enjoyed and they had fun when extroverts suffered from social isolation. And many Finns still wish to go back to lockdown just so they wouldn't have to see other people, think about other people, to meet other people, and interact with other people. And these changes in this society make me sad and depressed, especially since people are now more mean-spirited, rude, harsh and selfish nowadays than before the pandemic. For example, People are saying now more often that because the unemployed don't work to earn a wage, they deserve to be homeless and starve, or that the unemployed should be locked up in camps because they are not employed.
D.F. Murray wrote,
Well, to be fair, if there is a genocide happening, should we be engaging in more small talk or trying to stop it in any small way we can?
Zaid Shaddock 7015 wrote,
Well, these are all very young perspectives, Amir. I'm a Gen Xer. Still remember how 9/11 shocked the nation, and the shockwave lasted a good 10 years. JFK assassination hit the boomers. WWII literally, physically destroyed many beautiful old world cities in Europe. It's been argued that the Black Plague springboarded the Enlightenment because it wiped out over half of the peasant class, thus constricting labor and giving it leverage. Survivors of the plague did quite well. People, this is life. This is why progressivism is wrong. No matter how we try to engineer a better society, things happen that shake it all up, and people are caught unawares and sometimes have to undergo a difficult transformation. In a way, it's good, because it wakes you up, gets your survival instincts kicking again, gets you thinking about what your life means, what is valuable, worth fighting or dying for. How much was going on that you didn't notice until COVID hit? How much meaningless crap were you absorbing then that you now reject? Hollywood still hasn't figured out that America doesn't adore it the way it used to. Imagine that. I can actually see the good in all this. It will make you all stronger in the long run. It will happen again. The pattern seems to be about every 20 to 30 years. Something big will shake up the country and everyone will experience the heartbreak, the fear, struggle, the gradual acceptance that times change and the good old days are gone. It's part of life.
Gary Mathers 2569 wrote,
If you supported lockdowns Etsy, don't be crying and whining about the cost of living crisis. You caused it. I and many others didn't support the lockdowns, so we have every right to be pissed off. You do not.
Gary Mathers 2569 wrote,
Ever since COVID happened, it's just been non-stop chaos. They've stolen 4 years of your life that you're not going to getting back. They made the economy super hard for anyone to be successful in. They've created situations where people's families have been ruined, people's lives have been ruined, their businesses have been closed. And they've done this for their own gain. It's very obvious what's happening. People just don't want to believe it. Because if you have to believe it, that means you have to do something about it. And to do something about it, you have to get uncomfortable. You're better off getting mildly uncomfortable now than experiencing what they are trying to create, which will create massive disruption in your life or the destruction of it.
Anita McCormick 3184 wrote,
Because of the lockdown, I left the Democratic Party and became a conservative-leaning independent. I believe the lockdown and jab mandates were absolutely wrong and should never have happened in what is supposed to be a free nation.
Anita McCormick 3184 wrote,
Lockdown was horrible. I never thought the United States government would do something like that to us. It sounds like something that might happen in a dictator-run country.
Faithful Reed wrote,
During COVID, my life didn't change much. I still had a job. My kid wasn't going to school, but daycare was still open. So not too much changed.
You wrote,
We need to compare this COVID thing to a lot. Listen, I got a Gardasil shot for HPV when I was 15. I'm 30-year-old female. I now have cervical cancer with an autoimmune disease. Came 10 years after re-vaccine. I never got COVID vaccine. I genuinely really think the people who have gotten less vaccine, even as a child, are the ones not getting COVID. They are not even getting sick, or the brain fog, anxiety. Let's comparison. Truly rank Sontayu get these as a baby and it shows up and is activated later. Gidicil is supposed to protect against cervical I know have it, and COVID set it off through my boot stream. Then the autoimmune disease happened. Good eater and thin came out of nowhere after COVID get into my body.
At found_sheep77 wrote,
We are in biblical end times. Jesus Christ is coming soon to rapture his church, then all hell will break loose on earth. Wake up, O sleepers. Satan runs this world. AI and aliens are demonic. Jesus loves you. He paid for all sin with his blood to save us from this evil world. Please call upon him and put your faith in him now, and you will be saved. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father, but by me. John 14:6 Grace be to you and peace from God the Father, and from our Lord Jesus Christ, who gave himself for our sins, that he might deliver us from this present evil world, according to the will of God and our Father. Galatians 1:3-4 For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. John 3:16 That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Romans 10:9 For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. Ephesians 2:8-9 For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. 1 Thessalonians 4:16-17
At fairy_from_the_thread wrote,
I turned 27 when COVID hit. Finally, I had some good savings so I could start traveling, but for the next 3 years I stayed in my bedroom waiting for restrictions to be lifted. My social life completely disappeared. I tried to keep in touch with the few people I knew, but they didn't seem interested in interacting now that we were not at parties having drinks. I guess we were never friends. My few chances of finding a partner also disappeared. Social interactions really exhaust me tbh. I enjoy going out, but not really to interact with people. I just want to chill by the sea or mountains.
Faithful Reed wrote,
It's not that people forgot how to interact with people, it's that things are so much more expensive now. People don't want to spend as much as they were. They would rather stay home now. It's cheaper.
Advice N53X wrote,
For us in the gaming industry, we lost one of our legends to COVID. Rest in peace, Rick May. Godspeed, you magnificent bastard. Things won't be the same without him. Irrelevant subjects aside, COVID for me was more like a close call experience. I could have lost my dad to COVID. I thank the Lord I didn't. I also got sick from COVID, but thankfully, since I was still young, my body was strong enough to survive until the end of the crisis. Because of those close calls, I learned to treasure every moment. Count my blessings, cause my life is not as dramatically tragic as others who felt trapped in their homes.
Epopcynical29 wrote,
During COVID, each and every working company was forced to basically shut down, reorganize, and figure out new ways in which to continue producing their revenue stream while utilizing the most minimal working crew. None of us should be surprised that the current job market now is the absolute reflection of that.
A7 is the key to heaven wrote,
The kids that I have been around do think independently, but I have heard kids say they don't know or don't care. But honestly, all they need is someone who cares to teach them, specifically family.